Conlon, one of the problems that you must have had composing with the player piano rolls was exactly how to punch your own music onto the rolls without going through a commercial institution of some sort. How did you get the idea to get a hole punching machine to get started on this? Why did you get involved in it, and how did you actually physically do the work of punching the rolls?
Oh no, that was a thing of I told you this before. No, I went to New York. Well, for years I'd been obsessed with this idea of player pianos, and I mean somehow to do it on it. And I went to New York, and I mean asking all over the place. I mean people who, well, you know, there were places that made player piano rolls. How long do you want this to go?
Oh, we can go half an hour at the most.
Yeah, no, but I mean this part.
This part can go, 10 minutes or.
No, okay.
No, look,
yeah.
no, we don't time anything.
Okay, yeah.
Don't
Okay,
even think about it. Okay. So anyway, you were in New York.
No, and oh, this is an interesting story. Incidentally, I don't know. Did I ever tell you this story about how I found out about making a machine?
No, you never did.
Oh, well, I'll tell you now.
Okay,
I mean,
great.
this is really folkloric.
All right.
No, I first went to this place in where was it, in the Bronx, this player piano company that had as a matter of fact, I think they still make rolls. Now it's just popular music. And I found this one guy there who was, he's very cooperative and helped me and everything. He had in this company, they make the thing with, I told you about these big machines that run things out, what do you call it, wholesale. But he had this little machine that he used for, I don't know what the things he was doing with whatever, for punching. It was similar to mine. As a matter of fact, this was copied from his machine. Well, after that, I went, I forget now, it was somewhere down in the village. It was, a really strange character. I forget all these people's names. You know what he did? Only repaired medieval instruments, lutes and who knows what. I mean, a real character. And I was in there, I was talking with, but a very interesting guy. And I was telling him my problem, how are we going to make a machine that I said, I know someone who has a machine. I want it sort of copied, the measurements and everything. He said, look, I have a good friend who has a machine shop. It's a strange combination, this medieval music shop. Do you want me to keep going on this?
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Okay, yeah. I thought that's what you would like for this.
Right.
Okay, well, and so, he got his machine shop friend, and all of us went up to the guy who had the thing he punched with, and so it was the one who had the medieval music shop who understood the problem. The other guy was just, was a friend, but he just knew you can measure the steel here and you go this and whatever. And between the two of them, they worked out made this machine for me.
Made a design for it and everything?
No, even much better than the other guys. Because I told them, later I changed that also, so it was even better yet. But those two guys, also they gave me what was this, in 1948, I guess, 47, I don't remember. And so they gave me a project of $300 to make this machine. And I had to stay there in New York for 3 months, and problems came up, this, that, and the other.
Oh, you were living in Mexico at the time. You came up for the. Okay, I get it.
Only time I've gone to the States since I came here.
1940.
Since 1940.
Oh, okay.
No, but I
get
went
it.
just for that. So I got
You couldn't
that.
have it done in Mexico.
No, I finally, after 20 years, I found someone who maybe could have done it.
But this was the more direct one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
So they made this thing, and $300, and I don't know, it was months and months and months. And after it was finished, this guy said to me, "Okay, I've told you $300, but if I had to do it again, I'd charge you I don't know what." No, well, that time I was a little short on money, and so I came back, brought it back, and. Several years later, when I had some more money, I sent this guy $500. Sort of a.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, because they were really very, very good on doing the whole thing.
Well, were there machines to punch holes in player piano rolls by hand in existence at the time? I mean, you say this guy had one.
Yeah, he had one, but it was a little. It's sort of like mine.
it's not a commercial
No, 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 no,
thing.
no, no, no.
In other words, when they punched holes, what happened when the Ampico people punched holes for a standard piano composition?
Look, the Ampico company, which was what they call these reproducing pianos, you saw these things, the artists, Ornstein and Rachmaninoff. I mean, they played,
Playing their own pieces.
Yeah, but you know what they did? They
No.
they had a what do you call it? I've never seen this. I've been always fascinated by the idea. One of these people would sit down at the piano and just play, and while they were playing, a roll would go through the piano, a blank roll, with inking where they pushed a note down. In other words,
Did it also give the dynamics?
no, that they put in later. They
That's
had to-
later.
No, because they couldn't record that. But the inking,
The note
the
was
note,
specified.
yeah, it goes from here.
But
to
that
here.
didn't make a hole in the paper yet.
Oh no, it's just drawn. No, and then after that they went back and did it by hand. And after they did it by hand, these big commercial machines
Could duplicate that.
duplicate the thing.
I think I understand for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But there was commercial duplication of the rolls. I
Oh,
mean,
of
that,
course. Even these
mass-produced
so-called
rolls.
reproducing things, the artist, Well,
Okay.
you must know that Debussy and Strauss and Busoni and all kinds of people recorded there were different types of pianos, but recorded in that, basically in that, what do you call it?
in that manner.
Technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now let's say you compose a piece, one of the later studies, very complicated.
Yeah.
How long does it take you after you've composed the notes on paper to put it onto the roll?
Oh, some of them 6 months, 8 months.
You've actually spent that long putting
Oh,
one
yeah,
piece of
right.
6 or 7 minutes duration onto
Right,
a roll.
right.
And maybe is that the reason why you have so few compositions? And
Right.
I mean,
'Cause
the
it
total
takes so long
the
to
total
make one.
time of music you've composed in 20 years is under 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
It must,
about that,
it's
yeah.
almost like Webern, I guess you'd say. Very
Yeah.
very compact and very extraordinary. that's
No, but
marvelous.
except Webern had very few notes. I've got a lot of notes.
That's
on-
right. You outnoted him.
No, I'm not talking about quantity, but but it is quantity.
Absolutely.
No, I mean an enormous amount of notes. Webern had, every few minutes something ping, or pong, or what. No.
Well, look, could you describe these two pianos? They're similar. I mean, what are they exactly? They're reproducing pianos. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
What I was just telling you before, this thing of all of the controls of dynamics. Well, you heard those pieces the other night
Yeah, but the people in the radio audience didn't hear them, so you have to explain to them.
No, I just explained to them that, are you going to play pieces of mine on this program?
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
okay, well, so, I hope they don't get pissed off about the idea I don't use the kind of dynamics that these pianos are built for. You heard them, they can
They can do very subtle differences between them.
extremely. Look, I use only terrace dynamics,
How did you get onto that?
Onto what?
You just liked it better.
Well, that's my school.
The terrace dynamic
yeah.
school.
Well, so did Bach, Well, I mean, that's all. Yeah, what he had to write for was organ and harpsichord, basically.
So he couldn't make all these subtle,
No, of
romantic
course not.
sorts of.
He didn't
variations.
even want them. So I mean, there's no problem. Look, it'd be fascinating to have a recording of let's say, an orchestra playing in Bach's time.
I bet it would.
No. I'm absolutely sure that in the orchestra that they played at that time, it was based on organ and harpsichord dynamics. I mean, this thing of big crescendos and swooping things.
It didn't
and-
exist.
I'm sure not. Well, I'm not sure, but I'm almost sure, because that's part of the culture. Well,
That's a thought.
oh, you never thought of that?
No, never did.
Yeah, okay.
Especially not in relation to these pieces.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
I see now that must have been the
Yeah,
case.
well,
Well,
so I'm old-fashioned. in
so
my
so
terrace
so these
dynamics.
pianos could do very subtle dynamic changes.
Oh,
you don't use that.
I
but-
don't use it. I
But
don't
you
like
do
it.
use dynamics in your pieces.
Of
How do you
course.
control the dynamics on in the performance?
There are holes that you let in more air or less air, and no, there's a whole system of things for these. What do you call it? Subtle dynamics that you can do. I mean, crescendos. There's a fast crescendo. There's a slow crescendo.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, sure. You
A
can do
crescendo you can do.
all kinds of things, and I mean, combining pedals and everything. Well, you heard them the other
Yeah,
night.
but I didn't realize. I thought they were terraced, very small
Oh no,
terraces.
no, they weren't. They were.
They're actual crescendos.
crescendos.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Well,
marvelous.
okay, well that's.
Well, now let's say you have the roll and you're punching in it, do you have certain limitations that you can't go past? For instance, the number of notes that you can put in one place, or I mean, would the roll tear if it had too many notes?
Oh, not so much tearing, but I think I told you the other day this thing of if I punched every note on the piano and it played together. It just, I mean, with
At the
full
same
volume,
instant, yeah.
For full volume, it just would hardly sound.
Now, why is that?
Because no, these are not built for playing 85 notes at the time.
There's just not enough pressure?
Yeah, no, of course. And so, I mean,
so it's like the vacuum pressure just
It just-
disperses, like
yeah.
on a harmonium then, when
Right,
you, when you have all the stops out and you
Yeah.
hit all the notes and nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, this could be built. One of these pianos could be built to
With an extra strong pump? Or?
no, yeah, well, partly, but to let's say play all the notes at once at full volume. But then there are other complications of other notes. That's another problem.
Well, what are the differences? You have two pianos here. What are the differences in sound in the two?
Really, not so much. With this piano, as I told you, I put wooden hammers, pure wood.
No
No felt at all, and with a steel strip around it. That's why this is more aggressive. This one has the felt and and then it has a strip of leather and then something like a sort of a thumbtack.
And which one is the loudest of the two?
Look, everyone who's recorded says that this one is the loudest.
With the leather.
The leather, but
you think the other one is louder?
no, I think no. Well, I'm finally convinced why I think it's louder. It's because it's more aggressive. That's all. Not. I mean, no. You people with your instruments, you measure.
Sound decibels.
Yeah, decibels
of the sound. Okay.
And apparently, this one has more decibels.
The leather.
Yeah, the leather. Yeah.
Well, now this one over here, with the one on the left here, with the wooden hammers and the two pieces of metal, is it, or one strip
just
of metal?
A strip.
This one has the una corda depressed the whole time. In other words, the soft pedal is down. What if you took that off? What would happen?
Well, it's even louder.
It would just explode, wouldn't it? I mean, it's
no.
a very loud instrument anyway.
Yeah, right. No, the reason I put that, keep it there all the time now is that, this piano used to break strings every day practically when I was using it. And so with the soft pedal on, it reduces the impact or whatever, the strength of hitting the string, so that it lasts a lot longer, the string. No, I have a problem here with both pianos of strings breaking, so.
You mentioned you were going to get a new piano and work with possibly preparing it, and you had and you had done a prepared piano piece before.
Yeah,
but
I gave that to you, no?
Yeah, but do you think there are a lot of interesting possibilities for a prepared piano? Ideas with this type of technique?
Oh, of course.
You are interested in that,
Oh, of course. I mean, no, I'd love nothing more than to have, let's say, these two pianos and a prepared piano all synchronized. Well,
at the same time? Oh, playing together.
No, I mean because you saw these things with two pianos. They're not synchronized.
You can't. It's like trying to synchronize two projectors. They can't show at the same time. They just don't. Or tape recorders, yeah. And player pianos are even less exact in their timing. But
yeah, of course.
But there's a problem with prepared pianos in that if they're uprights, the things fall out of them.
That's what I'm going to look into. See if I can work out some way of, I don't know, pasting the things on the strings so that
so they're
doesn't
absolutely
drop.
stationary.
Yeah.
Huh? And then you would compose most of your pieces for one preparation. Is that the idea?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't dream of making.
Once you
every
get it
piece.
set, that would be
get a set that I want, and that's it.
Well, I wanted to ask you about your interest, rather lifelong interest in ethnic music. You've collected tremendous quantities of records and listened to just about everything throughout the world's spectrum of musical experience, especially traditional music. And I know this must have had some sort of effect on your outlook about rhythm, especially. Maybe you could talk about that a bit. I mean,
I don't quite understand.
Okay, well, in Western European music, which you studied thoroughly, the rhythmic experimentation up to the time you began these studies was pretty minimal. Yeah. And I imagine to myself that one of the ideas which might have influenced you to experiment with rhythm, which was really undeveloped in Western music, was your listening to music of other cultures. Is that possibly true?
Yeah, except, no, well, it's a little reversed. I had this idea of, time and music. I mean, from way back. And that's why I went to these cultures. The cultures didn't put me into the time thing. I went to these cultures for
To find out their experience.
what they were doing with it.
What did you find? I mean, what cultures interested you the most?
Well, I guess the Indian and African. I mean, those two basically. Yeah.
Well, you know, the West African drumming seems to have some of the most complex rhythmic combinations that you could imagine.
Yeah.
And I would think that would be a terrific inspiration, listening to some of the recordings.
Yeah.
I find today that music is among the most exciting that I could listen to.
Yeah.
I mean,
For me too.
if you're interested in new rhythms and working with rhythms in very complex ways, I think that's one place you'd go. The polyrhythm connection.
Yeah.
But,
no, some of these African things where they, you
Oh.
know, they just. No, I mean, you know, there's no conductor.
It's not written down.
It's not written down, but there they are doing their, you know, this complex thing against that other complex thing. Really fantastic.
Well, along those lines too, you had an interest in jazz. You played jazz trumpet.
Yeah.
You listened to a lot of jazz, and it seemed to me that might have. I mean, there were the serious music composers were. It seems to me. A little bit out of tune with some of the more exciting things that happened in jazz and in ethnic music. And when you add up some of your interests in mathematics, jazz, ethnic music, your extensive background in classical music, it makes for a very unique combination, which you can actually hear in these roles. And
think so?
oh, I think so, absolutely. And I don't know of any other composer who did the same and who had
Well, no one does the
practical
same.
experience
No,
in jazz.
no.
I mean, who had
Oh,
really practical
oh,
experience in
yeah.
playing it and a feeling for improvisation, which these pieces have, even though they're put down on rolls. It's extraordinary, really. The way one of the cannons will just burst into a fast rhythmic motif right in the middle of a very straight 1-1-1-1-1 kind of rhythm. It's a amazing experience and really exciting to me. Who'd you listen to in jazz? What kind of musicians were you?
I
Were
told
you
you
just-
my favorites were Father Hines, Louis Armstrong, and Bessie Smith. Those were always my favorites.
You still listen to them from time to time, or?
With these old 78s. Oh, no, it was a few years ago, I got a reissue on LP of the Louis Armstrong, the old Hot 5 and Hot 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I still play those. No, but, well, I don't want to put this on the no.
Wait,
Okay, no.
Let me ask you another thing.
Yeah.
What about the cannons? How did you get interested in the idea of working with cannons? Do you remember?
Well, yeah.
It seems to be something that really stuck with you. So.
Oh, no, it's very simple. As I've told you that, I'm interested in this temporal thing. And for me, let's say you have two times going, two tempi going at the same time. And if you have one going in something else and whatever, if you have them both at the same, let's say, melodic proportions, it's easier to follow the temporal changes. So, in other words, if say one starts off this way, if it's the same melody, you don't have to follow the melody. You're just hearing the temporal relationship. Well, that's one of the reasons I did. No, probably also. No, oh yeah, I'd forgotten about this. I forget who pointed this out to me. I don't have much of a, melodic imagination or invention. So if it's the same melody going, I mean, it's easier for me. I just have to do it once.
Well, no, that's a bunch of
What?
bull.
What?
No, it's funny. We were talking about how you have more of a relationship to the rhythms in the pieces than the harmonies,
Yeah.
but the harmonies are lovely, and so the resulting counterpoint is just extraordinary. Everything about the pieces is wonderful, and
Yeah, but I only have to do the melody once in a
Right,
canon.
but-
A 4-part canon, it's just one melody.
well, maybe that's enough, huh? Did you do canons before you did player piano music? I mean, were you writing in your instrumental music that preceded?
Well, sort of. Well, you heard that sonatina. It's canonic.
Well, that's right, that
The
was
whole
right.
piece is canonic. I mean, well, it's not a canon, but it's canonic.
When did you write your first piece of music? Do you remember? Were
First piece?
You, yeah, were you 3 years old or 15?
Oh, no,
or
it's
one of those?
Yeah, around maybe 15. In fact, that
What
one.
was it? What kind of piece was it? Piano piece?
Yeah, I think that new music piece was probably one of the first. Well, no, I didn't. I'd done things before that, but I don't even remember. Incidentally, Slonimsky sent that, to the new music.
He did.
I was in
The
Spain.
Sonatina.
No, when I was in Spain.
Oh.
No, that printed thing of the violin, piano.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he sent it while I was when I was there. I didn't even know about it.
Well, how did
until
he?
got-
Oh, you left it.
No,
with
I
him when
didn't
you
know he had some
I see.
things of mine there. And so
Oh, that's
he
wonderful.
just sent it. Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy. Huh?
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah.
Do you ever see any of these people that you knew in the States? Do they come down here and visit from time to time? Or Slonimsky, has he been down? Or? I guess
He was
not.
here 30 years ago, 35 years.
Not
I don't-
recently, though.
no.
Huh?
No, occasionally. Well, Peter came and
Oh, Peter Garland. Yeah.
and Jim Tinney came a couple of years ago.
I guess Gordon Muma and Cage.
Oh yeah,
occasionally.
Gordon Muma came about. Oh, Cage came here a couple of years ago and gave a series of lectures, and a concert also. No, 2 concerts I think, but 3 lectures, and all those lectures were fascinating. He's a real character, no?
Musical activity in Mexico, does it include any of your performances, or do you sort of stay out of the...
Oh, no, I have nothing. No, well, I told you about 15 years ago I gave a concert in Bellas. I told you, no?
Yeah, this is a fascinating story. Let's hear
Well,
it again.
no, nothing. I just gave a concert. And the 10 people who
Took
came
the
were my
pianos down.
friends, and, and they'd heard it anyhow.
In your home?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. The whole thing was really ridiculous.
Well, one of the fascinating stories about your career is the one about the performance they did of your septet. And I wish you'd tell that one to people who are listening.
Oh, well, no, there's nothing strange about it. It was the League of Composers in New York, they were going to put on this concert. Well, it was a concert of several pieces. And this one that I'd written, this septet. No, by the way, all these people who played in this were, they were top people from, radio stations. I mean, they were top musicians who could read music just like that. But the one rehearsal, let's see, I forget, 4 people came. And the second rehearsal, there were only 2 rehearsals, 4, and there was only an overlap of 1. There were different 4, and whatever. And so the final concert, they even had a conductor for this, because it's a little complicated. And in the middle of it, and not in the middle, at the beginning, it just didn't get together. Everything was lost, and it was a real disaster.
They didn't rehearse it together.
There was never one rehearsal of all the people. Well, okay.
Well, that's a... And
No,
is
this
that
is
is that the
another
first
folkloric
is that the first time you got the idea of eliminating the performer altogether? I mean, after all, if
No, I'd had it before because I'd written things for performers before that,
had bad experiences.
yeah, sort of. So no, I've ever since I've been writing music, I was dreaming of getting rid of the performer.
Well, I think a lot of composers have wondered and thought and wished for that. Sometimes performers are very often the people who don't want to try the new compositions. They want to try something tried and true and that shows off their technique. But I don't know of anybody who so thoroughly abandoned the idea of performers.
No, I don't think you're right on that. The what do you call it?
Electronic music?
No. The thing of performing and once I had a discussion with Copeland. He said, no, he was discussing this thing of electronic or mechanical or whatever music. And he said, I go to a concert, and to me, it's so exciting. No, he said, I don't want the first horn to miss the note, but the fact that he might miss it, the tension of might miss it. No, but I told him, I said, well, I'd rather have a good recording where he hit the note. I mean, not where he might not hit it. No, he said, that's very boring, because, he's going to hit it. And also, this whole thing of well, that's a whole cultural thing, I mean, traditional, of people who go to concerts and this whole atmosphere, the orchestra tuning up and that's another point of view, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't...
I know you were interested for a time in doing mechanical music that was, that was revolved around percussion instruments. You actually built or began building an instrument that would have a series of timbales and kettle drums and all sorts of things. What happened? How far did you get with that project, and why did you abandon it?
I mean, how far I got to the point where it didn't work, so I stopped it.
But you had tremendous quantities of instruments. Were they all hooked up by a vacuum system?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they were to run off of a roll?
Yeah, to play by a roll the same way as the piano, but I mean, it just never worked. And well, but I say it never worked. Never worked well. That's the reason I stopped. No,
What were some of the problems? You couldn't get enough pressure to operate that?
No, the mechanical problems, which I mean, I didn't know enough about. So, well, I just finally dropped it. Yeah.
But what about electronic music? Have you ever thought of composing electronic music?
Oh, of course. That was, in fact, even before this, I was thinking of electronic. Well, I mean, what might have been electronic music, except that at this stage, look, I have much more control temporally with these than these electronic composers have. I mean, they're just not interested in the temporal thing. I mean, the pitches and the sound qualities, the atmospheric effects. Well, that's very interesting, except my main interest, look, I've always thought of, if I could have a thing like this with rolls, like this, with all of the gamut of sounds of electronic music, to me that would be the ultimate. But these electronic composers are not interested in that control.
What about computer control? Couldn't you do the same thing as with a roll? I suppose,
Well,
but
I
then
guess
there's a whole language you'd have to learn. I
Yeah,
suppose.
of course. No, but also that's also theoretical. Look, the people who are working in this field, I mean electronics, I don't think I've heard one piece that I felt was interesting temporally. You know.
Yeah. Well, there is also the problem of the sounds. I mean, most of the electronic sounds sound like electronic sounds, and one of the nice things about this music is that it's done on a piano. For what that may mean. I mean, it's not just that it's a human element because it's an instrument normally played by humans, but the sounds are, to me, in some way much more exciting than having the electronic sounds that we usually hear in a composition, which have some variety, but basically have a certain boredom attached to them. Maybe it's because there are so many possibilities, and all of them are explored within most pieces, that we become bored with the sounds, and subsequently with the temporal relationships, which aren't very well worked out either. I don't know.
No, but that's another factor, the temporal thing. But I mean, just the sounds, the timbres,
quality.
yeah, the quality. That's also unlimited, really, in the sense of. I told you this story, no? Or you must, or whether I told you or you heard about it. This thing when they first started making a lot electronic music sounds, they made a sound of a flute, and people objected because the flute didn't have the wheeze of a flute player. Well, they put in the wheeze. You can put anything you want. You can put in the scratch of the violin bow or anything. It's unlimited. I mean, the sounds. And well, okay, except that. Yeah, you're right, though. I think something happened there. I'm not quite sure what.
No, I'm not either, but I do know that most of the electronic pieces bore me, I think, because of the sameness of the qualities of sound, or the range of them, let's say. There aren't the scratchy...
no, yeah, you're right. There's a sort of a...
it's glossed over. There's a glossy quality to all of it. Well, anyway, that's somebody else's problem.
Yeah, right.
Do you play the piano?
No.
Never did?
No.
Never took lessons?
No.
Not even when you were a kid?
Oh, for a year, when I was in fact, that's what soured me on music for a short time. This horrible piano teacher I had at the age of 4, I don't know. Naturally, I never learned to play anything. So.
But then you played trumpet for quite a while, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I played a lot of trumpet.
You're largely self-taught as a composer, but you did study for a time with Roger Sessions, counterpoint, I think. Yeah. I would think that must have had some effect.
Oh, I'm sure it did. But I don't know what effect. Oh, no, he was a real, what do you call it, taskmaster? Is that the word?
Yeah, I would say that's the word.
In this period when I was studying with him, I don't know, probably the only one I studied with for a certain amount of time, a year or 2, I don't remember. And... in that period, I'd write music, just music, not his strict counterpoint. I'd go there and say, well, what do you say about this piece of music I wrote? Very interesting. Now, where's your counterpoint exercise?
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Right down to business.
Right.
Anybody can write music.
Yeah, right. Anyone can write music. No one can do counterpoint exercise. Yeah, I really had it was a real rigid session I had with him. session. Yeah, well,
I'm sure he's been done to death with that one, huh?
yeah, I don't. He probably doesn't even remember my name. You know, this was what is it, 50 years ago.
Oh, come on.
Well, yeah, it was in the 30s, early 30s, 30.
Well, 40 years.
34, 35. Yeah, well.
Well, Conlon, why don't you talk a bit about living in Mexico? You've really made a home for yourself away from your native country. You've become a Mexican citizen. You know all the good restaurants in Mexico City.
Not anymore.
I mean,
What?
it's been an amazing thing, really, to switch countries, to go through the political hassles that you went through in the 30s, and you come out of it a great man, really, a person to really admire, and I think it's one of the great experiences of my life was meeting you in 1969, and I've been waiting for 8 years to get back down here and talk with you again.
That's very flattering.
But what was it like coming in 1940 here? I mean, it must have been difficult getting involved in a completely different life. Did you know Spanish well enough to get along at first?
No, I didn't learn any Spanish in Spain. You know, I spent 2 years there
In the Civil War?
in Civil War in the International Brigade and spoke only English. I didn't know any Spanish. Where do you think I'd learn Spanish? you
Don't know.
No, well, so I learned it in Mexico.
Well, did you find people simpatico and
Here?
yeah, got along all right? Or?
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, up until fairly recently, you know, I admired Mexico's foreign policy and everything. It was after '68 that I really got pissed off on, you know. Oh, maybe you better not put this in, huh?
No. They're not going to hear it down here.
Oh, who knows? You know, some creep is going to make a recording or something. You don't
Like
know.
if there aren't 150,000 people who are pissed off with
Yeah.
Mexico's foreign policy,
Yeah.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, well,
But politically, really, it's been a ghastly experience the last 10 years.
the
Because
last 10. Before that, no, it was very good. Well, you know, I came in here really in sort of the aftermath of Cardenas, which was a, you know, real liberal, progressive regime. And, well, no, they're not going to.
Oh, go on.
No,
This
no.
doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter?
No.
You know what George told me once?
George Oppen?
George Oppen. This is not going to be recorded.
No.
He said, you know, he was an ex-radical in a way, and sort of, he said, if they ever make a revolution here, I'm going to say, good luck, fellas, goodbye.
He had it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, no, and at that time I didn't feel that way. I
Yeah.
do now, yeah.
I guess there is some real despair about the situation in the world. I mean, the situation in the Soviet Union and China. Where is there?
Oh, boy, this China thing.
Where is there a government to look to?
Look, China now is giving loans to Pinochet, and I just saw the other day that they're about to give a loan to South Africa.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
And you know the only reason they're doing it? Because this is just to bother the Soviet Union.
Oh, to do the opposite of
the
the
opposite.
Soviets.
Whatever the Soviet Union does, they do the opposite.
It's pretty surprising.
Oh boy. No, I mean, I know I've become really very cynical politically in my old age, but well, Juan also, you know, he became cynical before I did.
You met Juan O'Gorman just after you came here, is that right?
Well, shortly after, yeah.
And he of course was one of the very, very active political artists in Mexico who did the murals for Mexico City University for who
Yeah.
knows what all.
Yeah.
But O'Gorman was also a friend of Trotsky, as I understand it.
Yeah.
And were there other people in the circle? I mean, Trotsky was obviously by himself
Yeah.
out there in his house, huh?
Yeah.
But what sort of political line was O'Gorman involved in? Was he a Stalinist or?
Oh, I guess a long time ago, I guess he was sort of a Stalinist, but, well, he got over it very fast. In fact, when Trotsky came here, he was, you know, well, but not a friend.
No, but
friend,
interested anyway.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
suppose.
and then, I mean, he saw him various times. In fact, I think it was part of, you know, Juan was a sort of is a sort of a disciple of Diego Rivera. And, of course, you know, that's a real character, huh?
Diego
Was.
Rivera.
Oh.
You must have known him then, huh?
Oh, I met him a couple times, but no, I didn't know him. Boy, what a character he was. Oh,
What was he like? Oh, you said something about he wore overalls all over and could
Oh,
get into the
yeah,
restaurants
of
where
course,
you
because
were
they
required to wear a
wouldn't,
tie.
and they wouldn't dare throw him out.
But he must have been instantly recognizable to the
Of
entire
course. Oh,
populace.
no, he was this big, you know, monstrous character and a very distinctive face. But no, apart from that, you know, he did things like, say, giving a lecture on whatever subject. Pure fantasy, you know. It was, let's say, a lecture on, I don't know, some artist or whatever. He'd make up the whole thing.
From beginning to
From
end, huh?
beginning to end. Absolutely. Absolutely. There was not one word in the whole thing that had anything to do with reality. He'd just make up the whole lecture.
But it would be believable, I guess, because the way
Oh, he was very convincing, I should say.
well, yeah, if you have the right delivery, you can put across anything, can't you?
Right. No, and he did. He had a real, you know, what do you call it, charisma that came across.
Were there other visual artists that were of great interest down here while you were here?
Well, there was Orozco.
Oh yeah,
Oh, you want a little anecdote about Orozco?
I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I hope you do put this on. Yeah. That's when I was married before to Annette. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you about. And,
Oh, she was involved in the art scene here.
Oh, yeah, of course. She was an artist, and she worked with Orozco, and she worked with Diego and other
Actually
people.
painting some of the
Painting,
murals.
yeah. I mean, doing, you know, they would give the outline and, you know, whatever. No, but this thing of Orozco, you know, when he died at night. He was in sleep. He was asleep. He had a heart attack while he was asleep. And the Time magazine wrote an article saying that, that Orozco, it was really one of the most famous artists here in a way, that he died, and before he died, he called for the priest. That he was an ex-atheist, but he called for the priest to confess before he died. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, this is a curious detail in this. His wife, who was, I mean, she was, I guess she's still alive, I don't remember, religious. I mean, she, you know, was a believer. Orozco wasn't. He was a total atheist. And, but she got indignant about the fact that this was a slander on her husband, because he didn't call for a priest. He just died in his sleep. And so, no, wait, my ex-wife, Annette, knew them very well, and so she wanted to write to Time magazine. And so I wrote the letters. I mean, she signed them, but, you know, that this is not true and whatever. Finally got to the point that saying, no, this was from his wife. You know, as far as they knew, it was from his wife. And so they said, well, look, our correspondent in Mexico says, whatever. And finally, they said something about, I don't know, they were going to accuse her of being a communist propagandist. I don't know, the whole thing. Well, finally just stopped. They wouldn't even print a letter from her saying it's not true. They just refused. They liked their own story so much. Well,
This must have been in the early 50s, or?
no, it was before that. Let's see. Well, yeah, early 50s, probably.
Boy, that's a story, huh?
Yeah. I think so too. I wish I'd kept the correspondence with Time magazine.
That would be a classic.
Yeah, I think it would be.
We'll probably find the other half in Time's archives.
Oh, I'm sure they have it, the other half. Yeah, right.
Well, I wonder, you're now working on your 39th study, and you've completed your 41st, so you're going back and picking up one that that was unfinished. But about how long will it take you to do it, and what is it going to be like, the 39th?
Oh, it's going to be very long, because in the first place it's 2 pianos, and also, you know, 1 piano first and then 2. And furthermore, the commission they gave me is they want something between 15 and 20 minutes. So, well, I just make something between 15 and 20 minutes.
How are you structuring this piece?
What's the one you were looking at there that I had here, the 60 against 61?
So there are two rhythmic
Yeah.
voices, 60 against 61.
Right.
So there'd be a very slight change in
Yeah.
rhythm over a period of time, I guess.
As a matter of fact, the only way you're really aware of that, because no one can hear 60 against 61, I mean, as a unit, the only way you can hear it is that one part starts and then another starts, and well, little by little, they finally get together. No one could say that it's 60 against 61, but they can say that it's quite, you know, a very close relationship that finally catches up.
How fast do the rolls go through the piano? Do you have a standard speed that you set them all at now?
Oh, no. You can, from stopped up to fairly fast. As a matter of fact, that 27, do you remember that proportion thing of percentages?
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, well,
Oh yeah, that's right. With
yeah.
with a single beat in the center and then
Yeah, yeah,
moving
yeah,
away
yeah,
in
the-
different
the
percentages.
ostinato, yeah. Well, that one is the only time this has happened with me. No, usually I write a roll. I mean, I figure out more or less the time that I want, and in the middle of the speed, in other words, from stopped up to what the maximum speed. And I usually try to calculate that in the middle, so that, okay, when I finally play it, a little less, or a little more, I can vary it. I really slipped up on that piece, and really it was the most difficult one to redo, because I had to redo all of the percentages of drawing, the whole thing.
Oh my God, that's right, because you had a different speed
Yeah,
the
yeah,
second time.
no, I couldn't just, like 60, 61, I could just say double or half or whatever. No, this I had to redraw the whole roll and repunch it, because it was so far off. I really missed it on that one. And, well, I really only did it because I was sort of fond of that piece and I wanted it right.
Do you, is that the only time you ever miscalculated on a roll?
Yeah, the only one. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But a bad miscalculation. Boy, the work I spent on that, huh?
You know, it's just recently that I heard you study number 3, which I like very much, the 5
Oh,
jazz
yeah,
pieces
yeah.
in a sort of suite arrangement. Those pieces were early compositions of yours. Did you do other pieces in that style?
No, well, you've heard a couple of others that are vaguely similar. I don't know.
But these, I think, are the closest to just a straight.
Well, yeah, it's more
Yeah.
straight. Actually, I told you, I did these before the beginning,
Before study 1. Oh,
study
that's right.
one,
Yes.
Yeah. So those are, in fact, I just finally put them together in this one collection. And
You did another collection, the 7 canonic studies, that was that now are numbers 13 to 19.
13 to 19, yeah.
And I guess you don't have them performed like that. You withdrew
Oh,
a
no,
couple
no, I
pieces.
just, I dropped the whole thing.
But it's not important to you to play them together.
No, no, no. I mean, they're all related in their, what do you call it, the temporal relationships. But no, I just leave them alone.
Could you talk a bit about the last study, number 41, which we're going to see pretty soon on an Art Street record? But that one has such complicated relationships rhythmically. Could you just speak a bit about it?
I don't know. What do you want to say?
Anything, Conlon. Study 41.
It's starting well, okay. It's in 3 parts. There's A, B, and C. No.
So the A is played
A
against
is one
B.
piece, B is another piece, and C is A and B together.
Did it take you a longer time to do this piece for any particular reason?
Oh yeah, that was I don't know. I think about a year on that piece, or more maybe. I forget. No, because it's really, in the first place, 2 separate pieces. Well, the third one is the 2 together, but it's 2 long, complicated pieces. And the drawing and the punching and everything. Yeah,
Oh, it
was
must
a
have been
yeah.
a real task
Yeah.
to get through that one.
As a matter of fact, I still don't have a score of that, of what, I mean, a legible score, let's
Yeah.
say, that people can read.
So I'm just wondering if you find yourself tending to do more complicated things now, or do you think you'll go back and do something simple sometime close in the future?
Who knows, maybe I just start doing it, totally simple things, as a matter of fact, that one canon well, you recorded one of these records of the 1-to-1.
Yes.
Well, I sort of did that as a, go to the other extreme of all of the complications. 1-to-1. I mean, it's 4-4, 1-1-1.
Everything's hitting at the same time.
At exactly at the same time. It's just blocks. I don't know. Peter liked that piece so much. I don't know why. Well, yeah. Well, okay, but you can like it for other reasons, I guess.
Well, one thing that's a great testament to your persistence with all of this is the terrific originality and the great variety of all the pieces. That's what always strikes me, that there is a lot of variety, that you don't repeat yourself a hell of a lot. I mean, once in a while you'll hear a series of tones that was in a previous study, but I don't see how you keep coming up with new and different combinations of rhythms and sounds. It's
Oh, I'm sure there's I mean, everyone has his own, what do you call it?
preferences, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I mean, cliches and what do you call it? No, in fact, every composer has his own
Well, sort of a language, I guess.
Yeah, a language, and so, I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, look, for example, you hear Stravinsky, and I mean,
You know
even if you don't know the piece, you know that's Stravinsky,
That's
because
right.
he has his own little quirks and so forth. Yeah.
But our experience in recording the complete music for Arch Records was one of total surprise at each roll. I mean, there was always something new going on, and that was the exciting thing for me, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to see that each time a new problem was attacked in a different way, or I don't know, it just seemed like a tremendous amount of variety. And,
Are you
liked
doing
it a lot.
all of this on radio?
Oh, I don't know. No, probably cut out parts here and there. I mean, then again, if I'm lazy, we'll just play the whole. Well, it would be great to see you come back to the States someday, Conlon. If you ever get it into your head to come up and visit us in the Bay Area, stop. Then you can meet your critics directly and have them give you specific. Oh boy, it would be amazing to have you come up someday. So we hope you do. Thank you very much for talking with us, and good luck with number 39.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.